Okay, great.
Tom, thank you so much for receiving us. Tell us about the success of IDEA. Since 2000, you've developed more than 20 schools in the Valley.
That's right. In 2000, I opened our first school, and we opened a little tiny church in downtown Donna, Texas, with about 150 students. And after 1 year, we had a couple of hundred kids on the waiting list. After 2 years, we had almost 1,000 kids on the waiting list. And before I knew it, to meet the demand, we had grown from that one school to 4 schools to 8 schools. And today, in the RGV, we have 20 schools in 10 communities serving 10,000 students, and we've got about 18,000 students on a waiting list to get in. And the tough thing, though, about the waiting list is just knowing that there are a lot of families and a lot of students out there who want to get into our schools, but we're just not able to let all of them in. But we're really, trying to fix that. We've got 4 schools opening up next year here in the Valley, and we really foresee opening up about 4 schools a year in the RGV from now until, I think, as far as the eye can see. Obviously, on top of that, we've got Austin and San Antonio opening up next year as well, which is very exciting. I think the thing we're most proud of, though, is that for 6 consecutive years, we've got 100% college acceptance. This year, for example, all of our seniors have already been accepted to college, and 27% of our seniors have been accepted to 5 or more colleges or universities. And we've had 5 actual graduating classes. This will be 6 in the fall. But of those first 5, every single one of those students actually stepped foot on a college campus the first day of their freshman year, and we're at about 80+% of our students who are persisting. So those are the sort of results that we think the RGV should be demanding from all of its schools. We need every parent, every community leader, every church leader, every civic leader to really be demanding these sort of results, because this is what's going to help our community get to the next level.
I'm amazed of the success, and also that this is a non-profit organization.
That's right.
Explain to us why it's so important to keep it alive.
Right.
Why to keep everybody aware that the success story cannot be bombarded or attacked. We need to aware the community of our children are getting the education here in South Texas, and it's only getting better.
Yeah, I've got 3 children of my own. In fact, my oldest son, he's a kindergartner at one of our schools here at IDEA, so it's just great experience in the school from a parent's perspective. But my point of view is always like, when in doubt, do what rich people are doing for their kids. And what rich people do is they find the very best schools possible for their children. And that's the option that we need to provide for every single one of the citizens, of the residents here in the Valley, is that same sort of opportunity to have a high-quality, world-class education that your child can go to. And typically, the people who are not in favor of options for poor families are exactly the people who themselves have great options for their own children. So, to me, we have just got to ensure that we have a really healthy, vibrant public education ecosystem. That means great district schools. It means great public charter schools. It means a great community college system, which we have here in the Valley. It means a really good university system as well. So, IDEA Public Schools is not the only strategy, but to me it's part of a broad strategy to ensure that we're getting far more students into and ultimately through a 4-year college or university.
And I saw some recognition, some wonderful awards that you received for the success from Governor Rick Perry and from Austin. Tell me about that.
Yeah, really, when the success of our school is really the success of student achievement, which we see the direct correlation between we get great leaders and they attract amazing teachers, and that creates amazing results with students. And our original high school in Donna, out of 22,000 high schools in America, it's ranked number 13, the second highest ranked public school in the state of Texas, the second highest ranked charter school in America. And that's based on rigorous advanced placement passing rates. So to think that here in our community of Donna, we're actually leading the way in something, very positive. I just think it's very refreshing, and ultimately will begin to shape and alter and change the way that folks who aren't from the Valley sometimes view the Valley. Obviously, we get the highest rating from the state of Texas as well. It puts us roughly in the top 3-4% of all public schools in terms of performance. puts us in the top 0.1% of low-income serving public schools in Texas. So it's really been remarkable what our students have achieved.
Across the board, this is open for all the children in South Texas. It's not a private school. How do you feel that when people like Bobby Guerra attack the funds for these type of schools, he's running for a state representative and he doesn't distinguish from a public school, charter school, special school? Do the parents, have you heard any feedback of the threat that could be when he said that he wouldn't fund IDEA?
You know, I've not actually heard or spoken with any parents yet. I do know that you know, one of the responsibilities that I feel like I have as an educator, as one of the leaders of the charter movement in Texas, is to just ensure that all of our officials who are running for public office really understand what public charter schools are about, the important role that we play in ensuring that more kids are successful. You know, what we typically do with candidates, with elected officials, is just tour them around the schools and have them walk into classrooms, meet with parents, talk with students. And, you know, the message that I give to anybody who's got public office, who's got some sort of a role in supporting or harming charter schools in Texas, is, you know, the role should be to create opportunities for highly successful charter schools to thrive, but also ensure there's accountability so that public charter schools that are not successful are being shut down and sanctioned with greater speed and more severity. I think that's really what's missing. So I feel like really that's what the dialogue needs to be about, is not, oh, we're going to shut down charter schools like IDEA or deny them funding, but what do we do to support the highly successful charter schools like IDEA, and how do we differentiate that maybe for some schools that aren't delivering quite the same level of results?
And how do you feel, your opinion on technology? Tell me your point of view on that.
Yeah, I probably have a bit of a contrarian, you know, point of view, and let me preface this by actually saying that we partner with some of the most innovative startup education software entities anywhere in the country. They're typically based in Northern California. A lot of them have gotten seed funding from people like Reed Hastings, who started Netflix, and Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, and we work very closely with them. But that said, I get a little nervous when people begin to think that technology is going to be the way that we fix public schools. Because I've seen this movie before. In the 80s, we thought that a desktop Apple IIe was going to fix education. And then when the 90s came along and the early 2000s, there was this movement for a laptop for every child. You know, and now we're seeing similar things happening with technology. And in the same time that we've been pushing more and more technology into schools, we've actually seen at an aggregate level, nationwide and statewide, student achievement has been fairly stagnant. So to me, what that shows is that technology in and of itself is not going to be ultimately what radically alters the future and the path for our students. It's a much more complex combination of ensuring that we have great governance at the board level, that we have exceptional leaders at the district or charter level, that we've got really the unit of change that we're looking at is the principal. And what the principals can do, who are the best in the business, is attract and retain the absolute best teachers. So you put technology in the hands of those people and it's really effective. But you put technology in the hands of folks who, you know, don't really know how to lead a school and cultivate great teaching, the technology is simply not going to have much of an effect.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add?
Well, just really think that it's important for everybody in South Texas to really understand what's at stake here. And it's not about charters competing with public school districts. It's really about our students in the RGV having to compete with China. And let me just give you an example of that. This isn't one of those beat up on China comments. There's two young women who graduated from IDEA Public Schools, from IDEA College Prep Donna back in '07. Annalisa Martinez and Amanda Ratton. They both got into Grinnell College, this wonderful liberal arts school in rural Iowa. Well, the year they applied, 10% of the applicants to Grinnell College were from China. And of those applicants from China, half of them had a perfect score on the math section of the SAT. So the idea that we're competing against this district or that district is totally false. Our students from Texas, from the RGV, are competing in a much more global environment, global economy, global education world right now. So we're just got to up the standards across the board. So everybody in the RGV needs to be demanding more of me, of my counterparts at districts, and all of the educators around Texas.
Thank you. I'm going to copy a lot of your points. They need to demand a lot about me as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.